Chris Watkin, joined again by Neil Martin, estate agency guru and performance coach. Thank you for joining me today, Neil.
Thank you, Chris.
Everyone talks about being an attraction agent, but in your words, you think they should be all about retention. Retention being revenue. Talk to me.
Well, yeah, I'm not saying you don't need to attract new people. Here's what I am saying. So many people focus on where's the next customer. You know, if we talk lettings in particular here, how do I win new landlords? Okay, how do I win new instructions?
They're not very good at looking after their existing ones.
How would you look after the existing ones? How would you look after the existing ones? How much time and how much money do you spend on the existing ones? You know, one question that every business should be able to answer is how much does it cost you to acquire a new customer?
It costs a hell of a lot to bring new one in as opposed to retain an existing one.
Well, even ignoring what it costs to retain an existing one for a minute, what does it cost you to get a new client? You know, work that number out. And then ask yourself a serious question. If it costs me X number of pounds to win a new client, how much am I spending on keeping the existing one so that they don't become a new client for somebody else? You know, and even if you're only spending 10%, 15% of what you spend on a new client, you're keeping someone who knows you already, who trusts you already. But if you put more effort into fostering that relationship, a couple of things will happen. One, word of mouth referrals. What's the best type of business anyone can get?
Referrals.
Exactly. You get them from clients that are happy, right? That's the way it works.
Because especially in lettings, most landlords don't love their letting agent. They just can't be bothered to move.
Exactly.
So you're telling these people, these landlords who are probably indifferent, just like we're indifferent to our banks, into raving fans.
Yeah, exactly that.
By spending a little bit of money.
A little bit of money, a little bit of time. Exactly. And I'd even go a step further because a lot of those landlords will have properties that aren't with you.
Exactly.
If they learn to love you, they'll bring more of the business they've got to you as well as referring you to other people.
What could letting agents do to do what practical day-to-day things that someone watching this video could learn?
Well, the first one and the easiest one is when's the last time you phoned your landlord when it wasn't bad news?
Yeah, because all we do is pick the phone up.
We phone them up when there's a problem. We phone them up when there's a maintenance issue, okay? When's the last time you phoned them up just to phone them up? Just to let them know everything's okay? You know, when's the last time when you did a property inspection, you shot a short, 30-second video outside the property and sent it to them afterwards? It just says, hey, we've just done your inspection, report's on its way to you. The good news is it's all looking okay. You know, when my car goes in for a service, the dealership, every single time, they shoot me a safety video. Every single time. It's pretty boring. It normally says the same thing. You know, there's nothing wrong with your car, Neil, right? That's normally what it says. But do I appreciate them more because they took the 20, 30 seconds to make it? Absolutely I do. You know, and it's those kinds of little things that don't take much effort, don't take much money. Now you can go further. You can think about, we've talked about this before, but things like running a landlord seminar, for example, that says, I'm going to keep you up to date on legislation. And that works really well for a number of different reasons. One of the big ones being it shows them how complicated it is to try and do it themselves. Yeah. You know, it reinforces what you do for them. But even go one step further, what's an appropriate gift that you could stick unexpectedly in the post? I'm not talking about a Christmas card that's got, from our team at, and it's a bit routine. I think it's like, what can you do that stands out a little bit? Can you find out what someone's birthday is? That's more meaningful than Christmas. Those kinds of things where you just go, someone's thought about this.
I know of an agent who followed some landlords of his online, noticed he was doing a barbecue, so actually got him some proper chips. There you go. And wood chips to put on the...
Yeah, but just simple things that show you're paying attention. And I think the other part with this is, there's estate agency, letting agency, both of those are markets where you do see fairly high staff churn. That varies from agent to agent, but some agents, the staff churn's really high, yeah? The same thing applies there. What does it cost you to recruit a new person?
A lot of money.
What does it cost you to train them, to onboard them, all that kind of stuff, right? What if you went, hang on a minute, the cost of replacing this person that's really good is this. What can I do to make them feel valued?
And it's not necessarily paying them more money,
no.
Is it?
Definitely not. But it's, again, I'll give you a really good example. One of the agents I do some work with, they always give someone their birthday off as holiday. They never used to, they do now. It's like your birthday is a day off, always. If it's on a weekend, tough. But if it's a weekday, you don't have to work on your birthday unless you want to. That kind of simple little thing, you know, it's the being aware of what's going on in someone's personal life. It's the, if someone comes in and they're having a bad day, you know, taking them to one side, having a chat, find out what it's about, and if appropriate, just saying, where are you going for the rest of the day? Just take a personal day, a mental health day, whatever. It's, you know, it's fine. Now, obviously, there'll be people who could abuse stuff like that, and you can't allow that to happen. But it's so often the investment we need to make is tiny. You know, giving someone a couple of hours off is not a big deal.
No.
You know, sitting someone down in your office and having a chat with them for 15 minutes and listening to what's going on in their home life, or even taking them out to lunch to do that, it's not a big deal. But it can make the world of difference and make someone feel valued, you know. And yeah, like you say, even just walking, you know, should we walk to the coffee shop? You know, I'm going to go get coffee. Do you want to come with me? You know, and then you just say to them, look, I've noticed something, you don't seem to quite be yourself. I wanted to get you out of the office and just have a quick chat and make sure you're okay. And if you're not, if there's anything I can do to help. That's all it takes. You know, it really is that simple. But not everybody does that, do they?
I think hardly anyone does, but the good ones do, don't they?
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, and I guess the other thing with that is if you see other agents where you go, how are they making all this stuff work? Model them. Pay attention to what they're doing. You know, learn from other people. But I think a good way to kind of sum this one up or wrap this one up really is if you think about things like, you know, the satellite TV companies and the cable TV companies and the mobile phone companies, a lot of those, their focus is the best deals are for new customers. So what do a lot of us do? Insurance companies, another brilliant example. So what do? We change provider. Because I don't really care who my provider is as long as my service is good. You know, if my insurance comes up for a renewal and I can get it for, you know, 20% less with someone else, I'm going to get the same cover with someone else for 20% less every single time. But if that insurance company puts some effort into looking after me and making me feel valued, I might not even bother to look at what other quotes I can get.
Well, I'm with LV, and you can hardly ever beat them and their services. So now I don't even bother.
And that's my point. You know, if you feel like the customer service is good, if you feel like the company you're working with are looking after you, you feel like you're paying a fair price, not necessarily the cheapest price,
no, a fair price.
but a fair price for what you're getting. If it feels like value for money, you don't look elsewhere. And again, one of the big things for value for money is how well are people explaining what they actually do? You know, do you tell your clients, you know, your landlords, your tenants, your vendors, do you actually communicate with them well enough and let them know all of what's going on? You know, not to the extent that you're badgering them and they never get any peace, but to the extent that they understand what you do for your money. Because again, quite often what happens is just this view of, well, you know, they took something, but I don't really know what they did for it. Don't they just photocopy some paper? You know, and I know it's a bit of a cliche, but there are still a lot of people who actually genuinely believe that, you know. Whereas a bit of education about what goes on behind the scenes, a bit of, you know, one of the agents that I've done some quite extensive work with, we actually made a 15-minute video that explains from market appraisal through to somebody moving out what happens on a letting. And they send it out to every new inquiry, basically saying, we don't want to waste your time or ours to make our meeting as, I mean, don't use those exact words, but you know, to make our meeting as productive as possible, watch this in advance and then come with questions, which means someone's way more qualified, way more interested, and it lifts the lid on everything that goes on behind the scenes and makes it a lot more understandable for that new landlord.
And they send that before the value,
before the appraisal, before the market appraisal. When the market appraisal's booked, they send the video out.
And has that made a material difference to their business?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because like I say, it's more qualified people, better questions, and I'll tell you where it's made the difference, more people go for a higher service level. Because the video explains everything they do, and then when you get into a one-to-one consultation, it's like, you know, did you watch the video? Okay, that's based on our X level service. Now we do offer others, but what we want to do is make sure you understand everything that's available.
Thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Chris.